There's a window there. Look how wide this angle is. Anyways, how's it going, folks? So today I want to talk about the PlayStation Vita. I just picked one up. It is 2019, and I have my first PlayStation Vita. Never got one before. And I just want to talk briefly about why I never got one, why I chose to get one now, as well as some other things, like this little guy right here. So back when the Vita was announced, a lot of folks thought it was going to crush the 3DS. It's the only other handheld competition out there, myself included. One had to admit that the Vita was flexing a lot of technological muscle. 3DS, you really got to admit it was underpowered in comparison. But despite that, the Vita was something that I remember losing interest in very quickly. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use US dates. I know the Vita came out in 2011 in Japan, but when I say the Vita came out in 2012, I'm talking stateside, the United States. So when the Vita came out in 2012, it cost, I believe, $249. I'm pretty sure. And aside from the initial price, there was always that looming cost of their high cost, low value proprietary cards. Now, a lot of us are already very familiar with this. Even now in 2019, a 64 gig Vita card is about $100, almost $100. You can get a standard SD card, the same amount of storage, for probably $20 or $30. Probably not even 30. It's probably like 28 or something like that. I mean, I just bought a 4 terabyte hard drive for $100. Now, I know we're talking about two different pieces of technology, hard drive versus a tiny little card. Because, by the way, the Vita cards, I had gone, ever since the system came out, never saw in person a memory card. Those memory cards are like this big. I always saw the pictures, like the thumbnails on websites when you go to buy them. I thought they were the size of like a standard SD card. I didn't realize they were really tiny. Anyways, I understand the hard drive and the memory card are two different things, but still. And even back in 2012, the price of a similar sized SD card might have only been like, I don't know, $10 more than it is now, or at most like half of what Sony wanted. So that was just one of the two roadblocks that stopped me. The second problem was the price tag of the system. So it wasn't just that it was an expensive card, it was an expensive system. And Nintendo had just struggled themselves to launch the 3DS at $249. They cut it down to $169, not even like half a year after it came out. That was when I waited to go and buy mine. Now, I know the Vita is more powerful, probably had more expensive hardware and whatnot in it, but Sony should have made the same or similar effort as Nintendo did to get their system out into the wild. They could have dropped the price of the system, the memory card, or what they should have done is bundled a lucrative, like, size memory card with the Vita, at least the 32 gig card. I know sometimes the loss is taken on hardware, and then later it's like recouped through, I said that weird, recouped on like subscription sales, digital stuff, season pass, all that junk. Season pass would probably be a game, but like subscriptions like PlayStation Plus. Was Sony already taking a hit on the hardware? I don't actually know that. Someone, if you know, let me know. Were they already, like, I know Nintendo, to give an example, likes to price their things for profit. They like to, out the door, make money on the games they sell, the hardware they sell. They don't like taking a loss on anything. Whereas some companies like Microsoft and Sony will put their hardware out there and they'll take hits. They'll take a loss on it, but they hope to make that back through other forms of revenue. Point is, Sony should have done something. The 3DS price drop occurred before the Vita had even released in Japan. It more than helped reverse the 3DS's poor sales. I was a fan of the PSP back in the day. This is not my original PSP. I sold that. Bought this one again recently, mostly to play the first Star Ocean. But the UMD, okay. So, wait, get ahead of myself. So, it was tough to see Sony kind of fix the mistakes that they had made. and then make new ones, like the UMD. Um, the UMD was, it's like we had cassette tapes and we had CDs, and we moved from the cassette to the CD, and CDs were great. And then it was like they took a CD and turned it into a cassette tape. It was worse than Nintendo's idea to go mini CD with the GameCube. And plus, you don't want moving parts in a handheld. Moving parts, hard drive, disk drives in consoles, PCs, that's fine. Don't put moving parts in your handheld systems. So they moved over to game cards with the Vita, but then they got too heavy-handed with their anti-piracy nonsense, which, let's be real, only punished their honest customers and would-be, or I should say would have been, customers, and Sony itself. I mean, because let's face it, people are going to hack your system anyway. So why get a Vita now? What changed? 7 years after it released in the States. Mostly because Sony being officially done with it now means that the only ones remaining, the decent condition ones, will get expensive. The new ones in box, which I did not buy, will get expensive. Another reason is that I haven't played a single game in its library. So it's got all these games. I haven't played any of them. I'm a big fan of Ninja Gaiden. Where's Ninja Gaiden 4, by the way? I'd always wanted to play the Sigma games on Vita, the Plus editions, and now I can do that. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with the Vita yet, and some people might think I'm crazy, but I think of the Nintendo Switch when I hold this thing. I don't own a Switch, but it makes me think of the Nintendo Switch. I mean, this uses game cards. It's a powerful system. You know, given the context of where it fits in gaming history, like, this is powerful, but it's still less powerful than consoles. You could say the same thing about the Switch. And the remote playability on the Vita is kind of sorts what the Switch ended up just combining into one thing versus having it broken up into segments. Like, I could be out and, you know, good internet connection provided, play one of my PS3 or PS4 games on my Vita remotely, whereas the Switch, you can just take it with you. Like, that's still impressive. And I don't know why, but it makes me think of the Switch. So that's my short story on why I chose to pick up a PlayStation Vita in 2019, the first one I ever bought. Let me know if you'd like to hear what I think about the system and some of its games. Also, if you've got a Vita and you like it, let me know what some good games are. The only ones I have are Tearaway, because it came with the one that I bought, and Call of Duty, which I probably won't bother with. Not into those, but it came with it. So those are only two games that I have. So let me know what some good games are, especially RPGs. And virtually everybody I've asked has told me to get Persona 4 Golden. And what do you think of the Vita? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.